Good morning, Spartan Nation. Good morning, Tuesday. It is Tuesday. I don't even know what day it is. It is Tuesday, March 24th. Tuesday, March 24th. Who knows what day it is? Who knows what day of the week it is? Who knows what's happening anymore? But we're doing our best around here. Yeah, we're just doing our best. So today is Tuesday, March 24th, and today is... I'm calling it Take Ownership Tuesday. That's what I'm calling it. I was trying to think of a name, and that's what I wrote down in my notes last night. I was doing my notes for this today. Good morning. It's almost afternoon, yeah? So when I was doing my notes last night for this, I called it Take Ownership Tuesday. And then it was interesting because as I was reading my chapters in 12-week year, that's what my chapter was about. You know, the universe has our back. The universe knows. So I just finished teaching class where we had 100 people on, which is very exciting. And we maxed out at 100 because that's what my Zoom could hold. And then I had people message me and ask me if more people could be on, which is awesome. I would love that. I just had to then go up my Zoom account and pay for that. People are funny. Could you make your music louder? And could we have more people on Zoom? And could you maybe just come to my house and teach my class? So, you know what? Here's what's going on today. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it in the. And could you record the workout and just send it to me personally afterwards? Oh, we're all going crazy. That's what I'm seeing right now. I feel like here's what I think is happening. And so we're just going to be very transparent on here. And because why would it be anything else? Like, we're quarantined. This is a weird situation. And it's just, let's just be really transparent. This week feels, I think, harder or maybe more real than last week, because last week almost felt like this kind of spring break gone wrong kind of situation. Like, okay, this is that weird wonky week between Christmas and New Year's, and we're all just kind of hanging out and like it's kind of fun and we're building forts and blah blah blah. And now this week we're like, oh shit, like I gotta homeschool my kids and I gotta do that, like I gotta do all the things. And I'm also, you know, as my friend Kendra Hall said, author of Stories That Stick, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, how many of you that are on here right now, I know there's only a few, how many of you follow Kendra on social media? Do any of you follow her? She's the author of Stories That Stick. If you follow her on social media, first of all, you should if you haven't, because she's really amazing to follow on social media. Clearly, she tells amazing stories and really helps people see life situations differently. So when she's talking about her babysitters on social media, she's actually talking about my daughters, Josie and Jessie, babysit for her. So, you know, of course I follow her, but we also have a little bit of a friendship. And her, you know, she was talking today about how, okay, I'm homeschooling now and it feels really real, but I'm also working on book number 2 and I also have this to do. And like, I'm a working parent. So it's a lot of like, this week feels like, okay, we got to get this, we got to get a routine. You know what I mean? Like last week was kind of, oh, this is interesting. What's happening? And now this week, and especially because for those of us that live in Indiana, we start a shelter in place tonight for the next 2 weeks. So it's like shizzle's getting real here, people. And I feel like there's a lot, I'm in a lot of message threads of coaches all over, you know, and from superstar coaches to what, you know, newer coaches to what, and you can feel people are like, they're just a little like right now, and more so than last week. You know, so we might as well just sort of lay it out there and go, okay, this is kind of how we're feeling. Now, as I shared with our group that's in our Diamond Mastermind group right now, as I shared with them this morning, sometimes this is when people don't like me very well. It is what it is. We can't sit in that. This is a sucky situation. It's a sucky situation for everyone. It's not necessarily more sucky or less sucky that for one person or the other. It's just sucky all around. You know, all of us can look at our lives right now and look at things we're missing, look at things that have been canceled, look at life situation. There's just some sucky stuff going on. Now we have a choice. We have a choice whether we are coaches or not. We have a choice to either embrace the suck and help others, or sit in the suck and just sit in it. And sort of like quicksand or mud, sitting in the suck doesn't make the suck go away. It doesn't if I'm sitting in the suck, it doesn't magically make Jessie able to be in her musical again, or Josie magically be able to do her Disney internship again, or my husband magically be able to go to the field and be spring practice again. None of that magically happens if I'm sitting in the suck. However, if I embrace the suck and go, all right, it's sucky. Okay. But you know what else I have? I've got tools in my life that help me navigate out of that suck. And here's what's even cooler. If I help other people connect to those tools, I actually help myself too. Because when we take the focus off us, when we focus on helping other people, we actually can't think about how much it might suck for our own self too. And frankly, let's just be super transparent. I would say 100% of us, myself included, you know that, right? I say that every time, like it's always myself included. 100% of us spend way too much time thinking about us. And that's why we think our situation is so much more sucky than maybe someone else's, or more sucky than it is. It's not. It's sucky for everyone, okay? So there it is. It is. It's just sucky for everyone. Now we can either sit in it, which does not create a vaccine or make the suck go away, or we can start connecting people with tools that will help them navigate out of the suckiness too. I'm hoping you choose that option. And I'm calling today Take Ownership Tuesday because I gave you some questions this morning. I think one person answered them. On a team of thousands, I think one person answered them. But we're going to talk about those questions today because part of getting out of this sucky feeling and not being mired in the suck is taking ownership and engaging and connecting with the team. So we're going to talk about taking ownership today. Happened to be the chapter that I was reading in my book, happened to be what was on my mind. And I hope it provides some value as well. And then it's so interesting, isn't it, how the universe has our back? Because I was also going through some papers on my desk, and I found this article titled The Most Powerful Lessons That People Learn Much Too Late in Life. And it's all about how when we get to the end of our life, the stuff that we find valuable. And I thought that was really interesting too, because it really applies to now. You know, we've got this time now, and we have some time to kind of think about what's important and less important in life. And I happened to find this article, and I thought that was so interesting too. So that's where we are. Take Ownership Tuesday. And I'm going to go through those questions a little bit. I'm going to talk about what I mean by them, and I'm going to talk about how they mean to take ownership. Are we good? How are you guys doing? How are we feeling? It's like, it's just funny because you're on, but are you on? Are you on? Like, there's been like no hearts, no smiley faces, no one. Everyone's like, I'm not hearting and I'm not smiley facing. I'm just over all this right now. Well, sorry guys, we're staring at another, lots of weeks of this. So let's I don't know. Let's make the best of it, and let's talk about taking ownership on this day. See, Trent is feeling great. All right, awesome. Okay. Take Ownership Tuesday. So the first question I asked you in that series of questions was, what program are you doing? There's enormous power in the program. There's enormous power in plugging into a program and not opening up Beachbody On Demand and looking at this hodgepodge of stuff. There's enormous power in plugging into a program. Why? Because the simple discipline of pressing play on a program that has been formulated from start to finish actually bleeds over into every other aspect of our life. That discipline from pressing play every single day on a program, not going down and doing some sort of randomness, and I'm right here because this is my TV right here, some sort of randomness, but actually pressing play on a program every single day, that bleeds over into every other aspect of our life. That discipline goes into every other aspect of our life. And if we're here pressing play, dialing into the power of a program, that also keeps us a little bit more accountable with our nutrition, with our personal growth, with all of the other pieces of that. If we're just sort of hodgepodging it, putting it together, we're not quite as disciplined. There is such discipline in pressing play on a program every day and letting that program and that discipline work its magic in every other aspect of our life. And let's also talk about taking ownership and the idea of accountability, because that idea of accountability, I think sometimes people, and they talked about it in this book, The 12-Week Year, sometimes people think of accountability as being negative, like, well, I have to hold you accountable, like it's a negative connotation. But actually, just being accountable means that we're taking ownership of our life. We're really stepping into who we can become. We're stepping into our life, into our goals, into our dreams. And the number one piece of that for us as coaches is the power of the program and letting the discipline of pressing play every single day, the discipline of that bleed over into every other part of our life. Now, does anyone know if you're pressing play every single day on a program? Not really, but you do. And that's the most important person to know. You know if you're staying accountable to your goals and dreams. You know if you're staying accountable and stepping into the person that you can become. And I believe, and we believe as coaches, that the power of that program, being in a program, that discipline goes into every other aspect of your life, will make you a better coach, will make you a better spouse, will make you a better parent, will make you a better human being on this planet, rather than this sort of like smorgasbord of whatever you might choose to do that day. So that's number one. That's why I asked that question first. What program are you doing? Many of us are doing 10 rounds. I'm also going to take Joel's advice. I was on a mastermind with Joel yesterday, and you know, as coaches, we have access to 10 rounds 3 weeks before anybody else does. And so I'm doing these first 3 weeks, but then on April 6th, when it becomes open to customers, I'm actually going to restart the program again, back at week one, day one, and start it again with my customers, because I want to be plugged into the power of that program, and I want to be accountable with my customers when they can start it too. And that'll be open in the Sparta Nation Challenge group as well. So you'll see me actually restart the program, but I will have 3 weeks under my belt of pressing play every day on this program, so that when my customers come in, I'll be able to answer their questions. That's just discipline. That's staying accountable to my coaching journey and to my fitness journey. That's number one. The second question I asked you was, are you in a group or are you running a group? And the reason why I asked that question was because, and you've heard me talk about this so much, but I'm just going to continue talking about it. I hope that's okay. That when times are trying, or there's a lot of quicksand or mud or suck, as there is right now, we'll see coaches step back from the business. And that is such the opposite of what we need to do. And you know, again, I've talked about this before, how every piece of this business actually makes our lives better, but we see coaches step back from the business. But the one piece, especially right now, that we need the most is the community piece, the groups piece. And this is what we do better than anybody else. It's what we do better than anybody else. And I'm not really one to compare, because if you know me, and we've been friends for any amount of time, you know how passionate I am about options in fitness and health. I believe options creates convenience, creates consistency, creates results. I believe people who only have one option for fitness, hence people who only go to the gym and don't also have an at-home workout option, they're not going to stay as consistent. I also believe people who only work out at home are missing out on that sort of live, interaction, that community piece that they can develop there. Groups and community is what Beachbody, it's what coaches do best. It's what sets us apart. And you can see right back here I have a Peloton treadmill. I also have a Peloton bike. We have both of these two pieces of equipment, and cool. So I have a Peloton, I love it. I think it's amazing. But you know what Peloton doesn't do? They don't create community. I love Robin on the bike and on the tread, but Robin is not messaging me to see if I pressed play today or if I stayed on my nutrition or if I don't check in for a few days. Robin's not messaging me to see where I am. We do community better than anyone else. So when we're talking about taking ownership of this whole sucky situation, the biggest piece that's the game changer for both us and for others is the community piece. So I'm looking at all these customers that are coming into our ecosystem right now, our database, like customers after customers. I asked again for updated numbers. Last week, as I shared, a normal day for people who purchase Beachbody On Demand is about 2,000 people. Last week, in the same 24-hour period, we had 15,000 people purchase Beachbody On Demand. On Sunday, we had 300,000 people do a workout on Beachbody On Demand on a Sunday. That we've never touched numbers like that. It's unbelievable. So all those people are coming in craving community. We need to reach out and connect with them, because that's the piece that we do better than anyone else. Otherwise, it's the same as having a treadmill that's sitting somewhere that maybe you're not even using, because the tool is there, but the glue that makes the tool so special is the community. And that's what we do that nobody else does. So when we're talking about staying accountable and really taking ownership of your business and of your life, are you in a group? Are you running a group? And I mean all of them. Are you staying connected to this group? Are you making sure that every live you're on in some way, that you're doing the live power hours, you are staying plugged in to the community that nobody else does like we do? Nobody else does that like we do. We also, we don't have a treadmill. Peloton does that better than anybody else, and that's okay. They can do that. We do community better than anybody else, and that's okay. We can do that. So we become this incredible option for people who need community right now. And here's what's so cool is we take ownership over that, and we stay accountable to ourselves being connected to groups and reaching out to the people who are in groups. When all this is over and the fog clears and they look up, do you know what they're going to say? I didn't know I needed this in my life. I'm so glad I found it. I didn't know I needed this community in my life. I'm so glad I found it. What a beautiful thing. They need accountability. We need accountability. And part of that accountability is our groups. That's why I asked that question. Number 2, are you in a group? Are you running a group? So if you're not, you know what you need to do today. You got to get in a group or you got to start a group. Because if you're not connected to a group, you're missing out on what the game changer is. Anyone can do a workout. Anyone can drink a shake. But the game changer is the community. That's the glue that holds us together. So you got to be accountable to those groups. You got to stay connected to the groups, especially in here, in this team page. All the live power hours that are happening right now, those are groups too. Because the more connected you stay to the fire, the less apt we will be to sit in the suck over here. So that's number 2. Number 3, what are you doing for personal growth? I mean, you got to take ownership over this. Yeah, you knew I was going to ask this. What are you doing for personal growth? Because we are the lid on our teams and we're the lid on our lives. We cannot grow a business if we're not growing ourselves, period. So what are you doing for personal growth? What are you reading? It's funny because I used to watch coaches read the same book over and over again. And there is some value to reading something again when there's been some time passed, because clearly you're a different person now. But you also have heard me say this before, and I'm going to say it again. If you pick up a book just because everybody else is reading it and it doesn't connect with you or give you what you need at that moment, put it down. There's billions of other books in the world. Go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon and just start looking at all the recommended books. I go to the bookstore, Barnes & Noble or Amazon, probably every other day. And I'll go to a book I like. Let's say I'll go to Robert Iger's ride of a lifetime. And then I'll look and see what other, if you liked this, you might like this. And then I just start going through that and I find them. And then I order some on Audible. You just order some. And if you don't like it, give it to one of your coaches. Share it with someone else. If you do like it, you just found a new book you like. It's just a book, So if you are reading something that's not connecting with you, please don't be consumed with finishing it just because everybody else was reading it and it was connecting with everybody else. This is your personal growth journey, but you have to stay accountable to it. Do you know, y'all, this is real talk. Do you know how many coaches I watch sit in the same place in their business for months, even years, literally years? And I say to them, okay, what are you doing for personal growth? I really struggle with that. I just can't get it in. Well, that's why you're sitting in the same place in your business for years. Period. On period. Personal growth is the game changer. Period. Whether you do it audio, whether you do it hardcover, if you're not making time for it, your life will be the same. If you are my mom and reading Danielle Steele only, your life will be the same. Period. And I'm going to tell you this straight up. And this is not a comparison thing. I'm just going to tell you this straight up. If my 18-year-old daughter can be reading Atomic Habits for personal growth, the rest of us can find 10 minutes a day to read some personal growth. Nobody's asking anybody to read for 6 hours a day. But part of being accountable, part of taking ownership, part of Take Ownership Tuesday is you have to be responsible for your personal growth journey. You have to be accountable for that. That's not a negative connotation. That is, I want to create a life by design. So that means I've got to be fueling my mind with good stuff. Period. Zero exceptions to it. I'm telling you, zero exceptions. That when I ask a coach, what they're doing for personal growth, when they've been sitting on a plateau for a while, when I ask them that, zero exceptions will they say, well, I'm just reading all the books. No, 100% of the time they'll say, I just really struggle with personal growth. Well, that's why you struggle with professional growth, because the two go hand in hand. So Rebecca's sharing a bunch of stuff here. Untamed by Glennon Doyle, brand new book that's out. Hustle by Joshua Medcalf. Yes, the first 10 episodes of the Life Coach School. That is Brooke Castillo. Put her name in here, will you please, Rebecca, so people can search her for podcasts. So when I get up in the morning and I go into the shower, after I get out of the shower, I turn on personal growth. I turn on personal development while I'm getting ready, like while I'm brushing my teeth, while I'm doing my skincare, while I'm getting dressed. Like I'm listening to it right away in the morning. And then when I come downstairs, my morning routine is reading my personal growth. So it's happening. It's like all the time. And yeah, you do have 10 or 15 minutes every day to find some places for personal growth. Okay, so that's number 3. What are you doing for personal growth? Number 4, I asked you for Take Ownership Tuesday is how are you inviting? Here's the deal. This is what I wrote down when I was thinking about that. People do not know what we have unless we invite. And okay, here we go, real talk. Here we go with real talk. People do not know what we have unless we invite. And there are, do you all know that I check my Coach Online office every single day about 8:05 because it cycles over about 8:05, or about 8 o'clock every morning Eastern time. So every morning, sometime between 8 and 8:30, I check my Coach Online office, and there's a lot of celebrations happening right now. When I open it up, and someone who was at whatever Success Club is now, whatever Success Club, or they've added a new coach or whatever. So like every morning, I'm like, look at what's happening. And then every morning, I also see this. A lot of people sitting at Success Club 4. That means we need one more human's life to change to hit Success Club. 1, not 101, and not 1,001, not 1,000,001. We just need 1. We need 1. There are a lot of coaches on our team right now sitting at Success Club 4, and I think what's happening is we're getting paralyzed by the suck over here, and we're so afraid to offend someone and invite someone to join us when we know this is the thing that can change their life. This is the thing that can change their life. 100% the people who were on my live Turbo Kick class this morning are better now on the other side of it than they were before. They connected to community and they moved their bodies. They're 100% better, and we have an opportunity to offer that to someone every single time we have an interaction with them. An opportunity to connect to a community that's outstanding, that's the number 14 community in the entire network, to connect to something that'll help them move their bodies and to put good fuel in their bodies. We can connect people with something that will help them get them out of the suck. But if we're mired in our own suck and we're thinking about the suck and we're weighed down by the suck and what's happening, we can't help others. And when that means we can't help ourselves either. There are so many people right now sitting at SC4. One more person's life to change. And that person, chances are, that person needs your story to help them get out of their suck. And if you are busy helping other people get out of their suck, you can't be in the suck yourself. It's just impossible. When you're thinking about others, when you're serving others, when you're helping others, you can't be in your own suck at the same time. It just is what it is. So people don't know what we have unless we're inviting. And there are way too many people right now sitting at SC4. There just are. And if that bothers you or is a little bit of a zinger, so be it. Because someone out there needs what you have. They need it desperately. I say it every time I finish teaching class via Zoom. I'm like, do you understand that 100 of you showed up today? And that's where my Zoom stopped. Some people couldn't get on. 100 people showed up today. That means in this microcosm, 100 people know that fitness makes them better, and so does community. Do you know how many people out there don't know that? And we are sitting with the solution right here in our hands. We have to get out of our suck and worry and focus and think about helping other people get out of their suck. The way we will get out of our suck is helping other people get out of theirs. We have to be inviting. I don't care how you're doing it, but you have to be doing it. And you have to be doing it exponentially more now because people don't know what we have unless we tell them. Would you know that I'm doing a Turbo Kick live class on Tuesday if I didn't get on social media and tell you? No. So how would we expect people to know that we have a solution that can change our life if we're not on social media telling them? Period. Next, how many invites are you sending each day? I'm encouraging you to level that up because, again, people don't know what we have unless we tell them. And if you're sitting at Success Club 4, there's a human being out there who needs you. Doesn't need me, doesn't need someone, needs you to help them. And if you are mired in your suck, you can't change their life. And here's the thing that I always think about. Someone changed my life with an invitation. It started out with an invitation on a bench at a YMCA that said, I think you should start teaching. I'd like you to start next month. That one invitation with no forethought, no drama, no emotion, no nothing. It's just a simple invitation. That one invitation changed my life. Then I had another invitation. I think you should be a coach. Before that, I think you should be a master trainer. I think you should be a coach. I think like all these invitations in my life that have completely changed my life. Someone invited you. That's why you're here. And your life is different. That also means someone's waiting on you to invite them. Because someone out there doesn't know that these solutions for fitness and nutrition and community exist unless we invite. Your life is different because someone invited you. My life is so different because someone invited me. So I will never stop inviting because I know how different my life would be if someone hadn't invited me. It really is that simple. Stop making it more complicated or dramatic or emotional than it is. Is your life different because someone invited you? If the answer is yes, then you have to invite because someone out there is waiting on you. Someone out there is waiting on your invitation. And number 5, what kind of tracker are you using? A tracker is just data. It's just data. And trackers help us take the emotion out of it. And women tend to have a lot of emotion and a lot of drama and all the feelings. I always think of Jesse's acting teacher. because she's always finding these like memes and stuff about acting teachers, and they'll give them a suggestion, a coaching bit or something, and they'll say, just sit in that for a little bit. Let's just sit in our feelings for a little bit. See how that is. Just sit in that space for a little bit. I'm like, yeah, gosh, thank goodness I'm not in acting school. But that's what trackers eliminate. We can't sit in our feelings with a tracker. It's just data. So if we have a goal to hit Success Gilbert, many of you have a huge goal to get to Diamond by April 30th. If you've got that goal and you are tracking and you can see that what you're doing is moving you forward, awesome. If you can see that what you're doing isn't, awesome. Both are awesome. It's all data. It's all data. And that's where accountability comes from. That's where taking ownership comes from. It's data. So here are some other notes that I wrote down when I was journaling last night and this morning that I wanted to share with you. Accountability is a mindset that manifests into action. Accountability is not punishment. It's not negative. It is a mindset that manifests into action. Don't you love that? Accountability, or taking ownership over your business, over your life, over everything, is a mindset that manifests into action. Taking ownership means we stop looking outside ourselves and realize our power is within. All the power that we need is inside of us. How many of you know someone, I bet you all do, I know 2 people. How many of you know someone right now, know them in your mind, who is the victim in their life? Like everything that happens is always someone else's fault, always. How many of you know someone like that? Just like raise your little hand, do the little raisey hand emoji down here in the comments. If you know someone, can think of someone, have encountered someone, maybe even have that person in your family who is always the victim and always has a reason why things didn't work out for them, or that it's not their fault. Amber does. Amber, you and I are the only people on this entire team who know people like that. I have 2 of those people in my life. One is my mom and one is my sister. Jennifer does. Yeah. I think we all do. We all have people in our life who they're the victim and it's always someone else's fault. One is my mom and one is my sister. And it's interesting because here's my mom at 92, looking back at her life, especially the last 18 and a half years that my dad's been gone, and just wasted the time, just wasted it. And I look at my sister where everything is someone else's fault and everything. And I'm like, what a shitty way to live. Like, why would you want to live like that? And to get out of that, so you talk about mired in the suck. They're mired in the suck. It's exhausting, Jennifer, it is. And they are mired in the suck. But if we take ownership, that is so empowering to me. Because if we take ownership over our life and we step into accountability of our life, that means we get to create the life that we want to create. So first we set our mind and then we take action, because I believe accountability really is action. It's like they're the same word. Accountability really is action. And if we give our power away, and we act like we're a victim, that's my mom and my sister, and for many of you, you know one. If we give our power away like it's always someone else's fault, we never create the life that we want to create. I mean, my sister, y'all listen to this. My sister, first of all, my brother and sister were in high school when I was born, so they're significantly older than I am. Surprise. But my sister has never in her life owned a home. She's always rented. At one point in time, this grown woman needed my elderly mother on a fixed income to help her with her rent. What? And like, no one in the family wanted to tell me that because they knew that I would lose my over it. Like, I would lose my freaking mind over that. And it's because she has given her power away to playing the victim and has never created a life that she ever really wants to create. Because for her, in her mind, it's easier to play the victim than it is to actually take ownership and step into it. And the beautiful part about this business is we have the opportunity literally every single moment to take ownership of our lives. Pressing play and drinking a shake and reading a book and all those things that nobody knows if we do or not except us. That is taking ownership, because we know that every single one of those pieces helps us create the life that we want to create. And then when we add inviting and sharing and connecting onto that, well, holy cow, now we're firing on all 4 cylinders. Yeah, I mean, it is exhausting. Action is always the winner. When in doubt, take action. Get out of the suck and stop. Let's just sit in our feelings for a little bit. Stop sitting in your feelings. It's sucky for everyone. And start taking action. And just start taking action. I 100% guarantee it that if you start focusing on somebody else and extending your hand to help them out of that suckiness with these tools that we have, I guarantee you 100%, you will get out of the suck too. You have to, because you have to be outside of it to help someone else out. You can't be in it and get out dragging someone along. You have to be on the other side of it to help someone else out of it, which means you win too. How cool is that? Accountability is about the future. Taking ownership is about the future. It's about creating the life that you want to live on purpose. It's not a punishment and it's not negative. It's a tool. It's a tool. That's what the business activity tracker is. It's just a tool to create the life that we want to create. It's data. It's data. I had a lot of thoughts and feelings about this because I have like 6 pages of notes about accountability. Wow. Oh, are you guys just, who's just super sick of me? Well, you're getting me every day this week, so it just is what it is. When we are waiting for something outside us to change, it's unproductive and frustrating. When we wait for something outside of us to change, it's unproductive and frustrating. I've said it before. We are not going to create the vaccine. So if we're waiting for this to change, well, guess what? In Indiana, it actually just got a little bit worse because now we're shelter in place starting tonight. So if we're waiting on this fog to lift for us to get about the rest of our life, you are wasting time and you are frustrated and you are unproductive and you are going to miss weeks of people who need what you have. So stop waiting on the outside stuff to change and start making the change yourself. Accountability deals in reality and facts and data with no emotion. Either you're inviting or you're not. Either you're pressing play or you're not. Either you're drinking your shake or you're not. Either you're doing your personal growth or you're not. There's no emotion there. We don't have to sit in our feelings about that. It's just data. It's just data. And when we look at the data and we take the emotion out of it, we will get better because then we start to control the controllable. And that's all we can do right now. That's all we can do right now. We can't create a vaccine, but we can show up even more. We can be more present and more focused. We can eliminate the distractions, scrolling social media, doing just the stuff that's not productive. And we can get very clear on our passion and our purpose and what brings us joy. We can't change the world situation, but we can control and change what's happening in our homes, in our businesses, in our lives. Oh, that was good. I wrote that this morning. We cannot change the world situation, but we can control and change what's happening in our homes, in our businesses, and in our lives. That's good, y'all. I wrote that this morning. That's good. That's good. I also wrote this. This is good too. Sometimes I write good things. It has to happen early in the morning. That's when it has to happen. Morning routine. That's the hill I will die on, the importance of your morning routine. We don't need a quarantine to lift or January 1st to come to start new mindsets or set new goals. We simply need to make a decision and then we need to take action around that decision. Period. We don't need the quarantine to lift or January 1st or a Monday to come along to have a new mindset and to set new goals. We simply need to take ownership of the situation that we're in, control our homes, our businesses, and our lives, and take action rather than sitting in our feelings. That's all we can do. Sitting in our feelings is not going to create a vaccine or make us feel better. Period. It's not. But if we take action and we help others, that 100% will make us feel better. It's so funny, speaking of my mom, she hated asking for help, but she loved helping other people. And here she is, 92 years old, and she hated asking for help. And now at 92, people wanted to help her. And so I don't want their help. And finally I said to her one day, I'm like, do you know that when they're asking to help you, it's number one, sort of a repayment of all the years that you helped others, but also it's because it makes them feel better too. It's not about you, Mom, but because she's the victim of everything, that's what she saw, But when we help others, it might make them feel good too, but it also makes us feel good. It's such a win-win all around. And we can't change all this stuff that's happening, but we can make a decision to take action within the circumstances that we have. And anytime, actually every time, we push through the fear, the benefit far outweighs the discomfort. Every time we push through fear, the benefit far outweighs the discomfort. And I'll close with this. I was only going to go like 20 minutes today, but y'all, I'm fired up. We're better than this. We can do better than this. So this is the article. It came from a website called medium.com, and it was called The Most Powerful Lessons People Learn Much Too Late in Life. And I bet you if I asked my 92-year-old mom, she would tell you some of these. So at the end of the article, it says, when you reflect on the life you've lived, here are the things you're not going to care about. And I want you to think about in context with right now, this really surreal life situation that's happening, and clarifying what's important and what is important and what's not important. Okay, so don't think about it necessarily at the end of your life, although you can. You're sitting on the rocking chair on your porch and you're 92, 95, 100. I'm going to live to be like 110, just so you know. When you're reflecting on this life you lived, these will be things that will not be important. When we come out of this fog, these will be things that will not be important. Number one, how safe and practical you were. You're not going to look back and say, you know what? My comfort zone rocked. I mean, I could have done something more exciting with my life, like starting a business I love or helping people, but I'm just really proud of staying comfortable. Other options might have been a little bit more risky, but I am proud I chose the predictable and certain route with no passion, and I just lived an ordinary life. That's what number one is. Like right out of the gate. That is what people, when they get to the end of their life, do not say. That's what we, on the other side of this fog, will not say. I'm just really proud I stayed in my comfort zone. Really proud of that. No one's going to say that. No one's going to say that, ever. No one's going to be proud they stayed in their comfort zone. Never. That's number one. Number two, at the end of their life, no one's going to care about how much embarrassment they avoided. Again, you're not going to look back and think, gee, the comfort of knowing I never risked being laughed at for having an out-of-the-box idea clearly outweighs how great it would have felt to give the idea a shot. No one's going to care when you're 92, 95. No one's going to care on the other side of this fog how much embarrassment you avoided. Because remember, people aren't thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. Because that's what we're doing, right? We're all thinking about ourselves. We're all like, it's so sucky right now. We're all thinking about ourselves. That's why we feel embarrassed. No one's thinking about us. And at the end of your life, no one's going to worry about if you were embarrassed or not. And the last one, number three, how much you kept up with other people. At the end of your life, you're not going to care much about the opinions of other people you didn't even like in the first place. You're not going to care about the opinions of other people you didn't even like in the first place. Yet these are often the things we care about while life is happening. We spend a lot of our lives focusing on stuff that will never matter to us when it's all said and done. I thought that was really good, especially now when in this kind of weird, unique life situation that actually allows us some time to reflect and to clarify and to think about it. And, you know, when you think about, I found something else I'll read to you too. When you think about it, you know, when we come out on the other side of this fog, at some point in your life, you're going to go, I wish I had time to do blah, blah, blah. And you actually have the time right now. You have this unbelievable gift of time. Seth Godin wrote on Monday, the way we feel can be triggered by outside events, and that can change how we act, and we can act, and the way we act can reinforce how we feel. Of course, the opposite is true as well, and far more in our active control. How we act always changes how we feel. This is a perfect moment for upskilling, for a sprint in learning something that's different to learn, not because someone made us do it, but because we chose to. Not only do we get to keep that skill forever, but the act of taking control and expending the effort will change our mood. This is the perfect moment for generous connection. Going way beyond the news of the day, we have the chance to create intimate digital interactions that last. It's a significant posture shift, one that might change who you see when you look in the mirror. We might not be able to do anything about external events, but we have control over our actions. Sometimes it's hard to stare right into that opportunity because it comes with a lot of responsibility. But I ask you, what will you learn today and who will you teach? So I'll leave you with that. That is Seth Godin's blog from yesterday. What will you learn today? Who will you teach? How will you take ownership over your business and over your life? Because sitting in the sucky that all of us are feeling is not going to help any of us. It's not going to create a vaccine. It's not going to make you feel any better. It's not going to make me feel any better. It's not going to solve this issue. But taking action and connecting people with this solution that we know will make them feel better. We know that because it makes us feel better. That's what we need to do. Action. Take accountability. Take ownership over your business. Take ownership over your life. And when this fog clears, and it will, be the one holding the light. Be the one holding the light. Choose that. Choose to hold the light and light the path for others. Because if you're doing it for someone else, you're doing it for yourself too. And that changes the game. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow for What's Up Wednesday. Yeah? Make it a great Tuesday.